I'm sure you've noticed this year, prices of cars have gone down. Yep, across most of the car market, prices have gone down. Why is this? What's driving this? Now, a lot of people are saying there's not enough demand for cars. Is that really true? If you consider the reality here, the world has sold more cars in the first quarter of 2023 than it did in the first quarter of 2022. If supply and demand were the issue driving prices, or the downward trajectory of prices, then why is it that once the world sells more cars, prices go down? That just doesn't add up. What is one big thing driving the reduction in the cost of cars? It's not going to change anytime soon. And it's one big thing that will actually continue to drive down the price of electric cars to the point where they will be cheaper than gasoline-powered vehicles within only a few years. It's not only me that's saying this now, it's also the CEO of Volvo. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. Chinese cars. There's a lot of controversy around them. A lot of people believe that they're actually machines. I've read this. A lot of people really believe this. A lot of people here in Australia, unfortunately, believe that all Chinese devices of any kind that have any kind of robotics in them are actually machines. They're intended to spy on you. And if they're big enough, such as a car, they can actually transform into a robot and kill you once the Chinese decide that that's what they want to do and they want to take over the world in World War III. So apparently this World War III is coming. If you buy a Chinese car, then you're supporting China's infiltration of your country, and they will use that car as a robot to control you and possibly kill you when the time comes. Now, I don't think most people would agree with that. Would you say yes? I'm trying to keep a straight face while I tell you the story because it is legit. People really believe this. And if they don't believe that, they believe some watered down version of what I just told you. So let's ignore the politics for a moment and focus on the other side of things. And that is what this is doing. The Chinese influx of cars worldwide, what it's doing. There has been an enormous increase in exports of Chinese cars this year. In fact, this year, China will supplant Japan as the world's largest exporter of vehicles worldwide. I'm not talking about just EVs. I'm talking about all cars. The largest exporter. It will be China this year for the first time in the history of mankind. Now, this is driving down prices of cars. It is driving down prices of Tesla vehicles. It's driving down prices of almost everything. Now, I know that you've probably seen some cars lately that are more expensive than last year. Absolutely, that's happening. But it's most likely, based on the current trajectory, that the best-selling car in the world this year will be a Tesla Model Y, based on sales so far. And seeing as the price of the Tesla Model Y has come down by 20 to 30% worldwide in most countries, then that means, well, the world's most important car right now is much cheaper than last year. The growth in sales of Chinese cars in Australia and Europe is about to shift up a gear with the return of a number of automakers. One of those being Chery. Chery is China's largest exporter of new motor vehicles, and it's ramping up its rollout in a number of countries, including Australia. The arrival of another budget-priced Chinese new car brand is expected to give buyers a bigger choice and better chance at driving a bargain as the competition heats up following 2 years of price rises. The thing is, it's not only Chery that are coming. If it was just one car brand, then there wouldn't be any relevancy to this story. I'd be making things up. But seeing as more than 10 Chinese car brands who currently make millions of cars are planning a global assault and already shipping their cars worldwide now, then you can expect lower prices across the board. Industry insiders say Chery is on track to appoint a network of 60 showrooms in Australia from March 2023, when the first vehicle deliveries will commence, starting with the Chery or Motor 5. And this network comprises of approximately 80 dealers each for fellow Chinese brands such as MG Motors, Great Wall Motors, and about 90 dealers for commercial vehicle specialist LDV. Now, don't forget, they're not the only brands selling cars in Australia or other countries worldwide. There's other companies such as Maxus, BYD, and word is NIO and XPeng, whilst they're selling EVs in Europe, also plan an assault on right-hand drive markets. Drive says that one of Australia's largest dealer groups, called Eagers, is one of the main players in the rollout of Chery car brand in Australia, adding to its portfolio as a distributor of BYD electric cars from China, 4 MG showrooms and 5 LDV outlets. One of the biggest Hyundai dealers in Australia, John Hughes in Perth, who was instrumental in the early rollout and success of the South Korean brand in Australia, has expressed interest in taking on Chery, which would add to his portfolio of fellow Chinese brands, MG and LDV. Now, why are these big name dealerships who already have existing brands at their shop? Why are they selling Chinese brands? Why are they taking these new, fairly unknown brands on? Well, because demand is there from consumers. There's always going to be someone wanting something at a more affordable price. More than 100 of Australia's largest showroom operators and dealer groups attended a packed preview held by Chery at a gala event in Sydney earlier this year. They were queuing up to have a look at the unknown brand and what it had to offer. Remember, Chery sells many electric cars in China. And I think all these automakers know if their parent brands won't give them EVs to sell affordably, then these Chinese brands will. So these dealerships will simply have to move to these new Chinese brands. 5 years ago, Chinese cars accounted for only 1% of all vehicles sold in Australia. Last year, they accounted for 11%. The same thing is beginning to happen in other countries around the world. Industry sources say that Chinese brands have grown at a faster rate than they had anticipated after a stalled start 12 years ago, which saw most of them depart Australia amid concerns over poor safety ratings and asbestos scares. But now, these Chinese brands are generally getting better safety scores in safety tests in Europe than European brands are themselves. Having seen the success of Chinese brands such as MG, LDV, Great Wall Motors, Haval, and BYD, and Tesla, of course, with their Chinese-made electric cars, they now want in on the action. They want a slice of the pie, and consumers are, pretty happy to say, here's my money. Last week, MG, with the new MG4, won the Car of the Year in the UK. That is one of numerous awards for this Chinese-made EV. Positive reviews and lower prices are driving more and more consumers to these Chinese car brands. This is putting price pressure on legacy automakers. They will have to reduce prices. They will have no choice. Why do I say this? Well, because they'll have to do what they're doing in China. And that's exactly what they're doing. The list of new cars from China due in Australia this year includes the Chery All-Motor 5 SUV, the Great Wall Motors Aura Electric Hatch, MG4 Electric Sedan, BYD Seal, the BYD Dolphin, the Tank 300 Off-Roader, the updated LDV ID90 SUV, the Tesla Model 3 updated version, and a range of other possibilities that have been discussed on this channel before as well. Industry insiders are saying this additional competition will bring downwards price pressure. We've seen 2 years of price rises through the pandemic, but the extra competition, regardless of where it comes from, is good for buyers on a budget, said a leading multi-franchise car dealer who wanted to remain anonymous so they didn't ruffle any feathers. The Chinese brands are filling the budget end of the new car market. As the Japanese have crept up prices, this will continue. In other words, Chinese car makers will simply take market share, most likely from Japanese brands who have failed to electrify. They've failed to provide consumers with the value-based EVs that they crave. While Japan remains the largest source of new motor vehicles in Australia, the proportion has declined since China has ramped up its sales. A decade ago, new cars sourced from Japan accounted for 35% of all vehicles sold in Australia. Last year, that had fallen just below 30%. This year, it's likely to fall below 25%. The future of the automotive industry is up for grabs. The Chinese buyers appear to be positioning themselves to take a part of that share from the Japanese. And like the Honda CEO said just yesterday, the Chinese are racing ahead and the Japanese are falling behind. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Disagree? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.